Hello, and welcome to Behind the Voice. I'm your host, Alex Alexson, and today we're speaking with the man behind the not man, the cyber demon. Antoine, please introduce yourself to the chat.
How's it going, guys? I'm the voice behind Antoine. You guys have heard me before. I think I called myself Cole, but I'm going to drop all pretense so you guys get to know who I am. Uh, my name is Matt, and I'm doing this because it's time you guys got to know the person behind the character.
Excellent, excellent. Today there will be some slight structure being brought here, and everyone should please pay attention very carefully. Now, you will notice that there is a PayPal and a Patreon down at the bottom. There also will be a Streamlabs link being placed directly into the chat. We will
I'm
at
getting it. I'm getting it.
the latter half of the broadcast will be devoted towards things like that. We will get to that in a brief moment. The first half of this particular show will be me, Alex Alexson, interviewing Mr. Matt, asking him questions about his personal life, diving deep into his motivations, applying the knowledge we have of his character Antoine to his daily life, and seeing how far and how wide those aspirations might go. The latter half of the broadcast will be devoted to questions not from me, Alex Alexson, but from you all there in the chat. Please put your questions up, put them into Streamlabs, put them in the chat. Go ahead, we will do our very best to answer whatever it is you have. Now, there is very little here that is off limits. Very little. If we do come across something that would be better left unsaid, we will, of course, apologize, admonish you gently for trolling ever so slightly, and move forward. Now, Matt, if you're ready, first, may I ask, how are you doing at this moment? Do you feel as though you are at all too stressed for this particular interview? We don't want to cause you undue mental or emotional harm.
No, I'm good. I'm doing okay. Long day at work, um, where I had one of my machines try and take my thumb off, but I'm okay.
You said machines. Are you some sort of machinist then?
No, I'm not a machinist. Um, the most I can say is I work in the jewelry industry.
Excellent, excellent. And do you make fine accoutrements for beautiful women to wear?
Um, I don't make them specifically, and I guess women could wear them if they wanted to. Men can too. It's I I just see the names. I don't see the person.
Excellent, excellent. And so, now, if you don't mind, we'll get into the question and answer portion here. Now, I don't want you to feel as though you're being personally attacked by any of these questions. Please look at them as something that is to enrich both yourself and the audience. I am Alex Alexson. This is Matt. Let's begin the first question. The first question is very simple. We're going to start with the character people know and love or know and despise. Remember, hate is still publicity. How is the character of Antoine like you and at the same time not like you?
Well, okay. So Antoine is very much like me, with his sense of humor, his sense of justice, and he's snarkier than I am. I've talked with my friends about this, and it doesn't matter if Antoine is trying to be sincere, trying to be angry. He always seems either snarky or just relatively annoyed. I, on the other hand, have a range of emotions, but Antoine is very much like me in just his attitude and how he sees things. So I don't. I use him to say what I couldn't say because people would rather listen to him than listen to me. I mean, it's all about the voice. Come on, man. So I don't know.
So
I Go ahead.
essentially, what you're saying then is that Antoine is merely a larger than life extension of your own personal reality.
Yeah, he's me, just cranked up to 11.
Excellent, excellent. So now you know Antoine and Matt, inseparable, intertwined, alike and yet at the same time, somewhat different. We move on now to go back to your origins, to the beginning of your YouTube rise to stardom, and we ask, what was your very first show on YouTube?
Now, first show I watched or first show I did?
Of the first show you participated in, my friend. The first show you were in.
God. Okay, so the reason that my channel is called Help for the Guildless is because I was a Magic the Gathering fanatic. And it was around the time when Ravnica had come back into play. And there were a bunch of guilds and everything like that. There was a card for the Guildless. So I figured to help people get into Magic, I could help them with, advice and things like that. So my very first video, the very first thing I did was basically an introduction, and I called myself Izzet, the leader of the Izzet Guild. I was going to do, advice, deck techs. I was going to, do listicles, do like top 10 planeswalkers and all that fun stuff. It had a single picture on it that did not change. I did not have a microphone. I just used the mic that was on my laptop, and I recorded from my car. It is still on my channel. If you want to go all the way back, you can still watch it. I believe it was 45 minutes long. And,
I would recommend to the viewers that they not do that, as they would be taking away from the time we are spending here now to listen to the world and life of Matt with your host, Alex Alexson. Please hold all questions to the latter half of the show. Go ahead, Matt. Please continue.
Well, that was the first thing I did. Help for the Guildless was supposed to be a Magic the Gathering channel. I was supposed to do Magic the Gathering content. And believe it or not, I was going to try and be an MTG YouTuber. And when I started was around the same time that the quartering started, and Wedge and the Professor and all of these Magic the Gathering channels started popping up. I just didn't have any. I didn't know how to connect to anyone, so I didn't get any real traction with it. So I changed formats. God, Help for the Guildless has changed formats 4 times.
And I think we can all be quite thankful for those changes.
Yeah.
Now, the next question, of course, again, starting with your rise to greatness on YouTube, however variable a term greatness may be, who or what inspired you to begin this YouTube, shall we say career, hobby, whatever it may be? What or who inspired you to begin this journey?
Let's call it a hobby for right now. 2 people, actually. The first one is, he's no longer called this anymore, but Internet Aristocrat. Mr. Medicare. He was one of the people that initially got me into YouTube commentary. And then the other person that got me thinking about doing stuff like this, believe it or not, was Markiplier. I watched him do his games and things like that, and he seemed very genuine when he was talking to people in chat or doing what he was doing. And he seemed to have a lot of fun with it. So I thought, you know what? Maybe I could possibly have a lot of fun with it too. So yeah, Mr. Medicare and Markiplier, 2 people who are completely polar opposites on the spectrum.
It's good that you have a well-rounded set of inspirations there on both sides of the line, that you seem to have combined them in the character of Antoine to produce a truly unique, remarkable sort of scenario for yourself, and we do find that intriguing, if to say nothing else. The next question, we're going to not so much the beginning of your career, so much as just the highlight moments of your life. If the great highlight reel, the spirit in the sky looks down upon you and reviews your existence and says, Matt, what is, throughout your life, your most regrettable moment? That moment where you look back and go, my God, if I could change that, I would.
Are we talking about regrettable moments on YouTube or
Oh
regrettable
no!
moments,
Within
period?
the entirety of your, what is it, 30 years plus?
30 decades. All right.
My
Yes,
God, I apologize.
I
I have misspoken. I will
am.
perform self-flagellation for this later.
I am over 300 years old. Yes.
Throughout the entirety of your life, young Matt, throughout the entirety of your life, where was the most regrettable moment? That thing which you look back on and wish to gods you could change?
Quite simply, and this is something that a lot of people don't know about me, um, running away. I was 18 years old. Technically, I couldn't run away, but I ran away from my problems. Left Southern California and moved to Canada, of all places. Um, I regret that every day of my life because it started something that I deal with to this day. I wish I wouldn't have done it. Honestly, I ended up living on the streets in Edmonton for about 6 months. So,
Could we, as the loving public who want to know these things, could we inquire as to what that supposedly may have begun? You said it started as something that you have had to deal with to this day, some 30+ years later. What precisely was that? If you can speak about it, if you cannot, by all means, then demure.
I have trust issues, severe trust issues. Um, the person that I went to Canada with was a compulsive liar. Um, Lied to me about everything. Is part of the reason that I ended up on the streets. The other part of the reason I ended up on the streets is because I was a stubborn ass and decided not to go home when there was my mom would have, forked over as much money as she could to get me home right then and there. Um, she lied to me about how she felt about me. She lied to me about being pregnant. Um, just pretty much lied about everything. And being 18 and her being 10 years my senior, I bought it hook, line, and sinker. I regret it because there are people in my life that are extremely close to me, that I second guess because of the issues I have. So, yeah.
Truly, truly a deeply regrettable series of events that, on the bright side, you seem to have learned from. And to make this a bit of a more brighter occasion, let us jump ahead 5 years and ask you, Matt, where do you see yourself in YouTube in 5 years?
If YouTube is still a thing in 5 years, God, hopefully with more subscribers. Um, 5 years is a long time. A lot of things can happen. I I see that there's no reason my channel is really going to change. I don't really do much except point out stupidity and make fun of it and have people laugh at it. So doesn't there's always stupid people out there. There's always stupid things to talk about. I just hope to be able to continue doing what I'm doing, learn better editing equipment, but just still having fun with it. I would love for my shows, not just Help for the Guildless, but Army of Snarkness and Caffeinated or Die, and some other shows that I have that I'm thinking about, having a huge following and entertaining people and expanding into other things. Um, I like the idea of the characters. I like the idea of playing. I'm a role player. I love the idea of playing the character, living the, to put it mildly, living the fantasy of the character. It's people can identify with characters and the situations that they get put into. So what do I want to be doing in 5 years? I still want to be doing this. I still want to be entertaining people. I still want to be talking to the fans. I still want to be talking to the people in chat. I still want to be pointing out stupidity and making people laugh. I still want to be entertaining people. And if I can't do it on YouTube, I'll do it on BitChute or whatever it is.
Provided the world had descended into terrible anarchy without the internet, gasoline, or running water, I am certain you will still be there, and I am absolutely sure your adoring fans will still be around to watch us all perform for them. The next question, of course, is one that goes a little more deeply to the psyche of the man behind the mask. It's Matt himself. Matt, what is your view on family? What does the word family mean to you? We see it bandied about quite frequently on YouTube and on the news and in the mass media in general. My family this, my YouTube family, my career family, my biological extended. What does that term mean to you, Matt?
What does family mean to me? It's people you can rely on. Now, you can. What's the saying? You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. I don't think that's necessarily true. You can find people who you care about and love just as much as someone who is blood. And it's someone who will get your back even if you're doing something stupid. It's someone who will point out to you that you did something stupid. It's someone who... Family is someone who will tell you to your face that everything is going to be okay when it's the worst time in your life. And mean it sincerely. Family is someone who you can say that you love. And it doesn't have to be romantic love. It's someone you love, someone you care about. It's someone you can count on. And that's what family means to me.
Fine words, true words, spoken well. We'll move on now to another deep question. Not as deep philosophically as that may have been, but again, getting to the core of Matt. To remind the chat, I'm Alex Alexson. We have with us Matt, the man behind Antoine, the human behind the demon. And we're here today to find out more about what makes both of them tick, as it were. And so we ask, what or who got you into doing character work and experimenting with different vocal stylings?
My very first gaming group actually is a friend of mine. I met him. It is something good that happened from me running away. I met him in the sci-fi chat back before when it was sci-fi and not sci-fi. And his screen name was Anime God. Turns out Anime God, who I thought was a geeky 5'0" white dude with glasses and a beard, neck beard before it was trendy to call them neck beards, ended up being a 6'4" black guy who was just as geeky but without the glasses. His name was Mike, and he introduced me to roleplaying. My very first game was BESM. That's Big Eyes, Small Mouth, for all you dirty-minded people in the chat. And I watched him do voices for the characters, and they were engaging. It wasn't just him telling a story, it was him interacting. And some of the people that were in the group, Justin, Evan, they did voices as well. And they became someone else. And it was cool. So it was something that intrigued me. So I asked them, I had practiced with like a British accent, well, a Cockney accent, like when I was younger, playing off of Ozzy Osbourne and shit like that. I could lower my voice, kind of like Beetlejuice-esque. I could also raise it like I'd sucked in helium, but I hadn't actually done like actual talking as in the voices. So I practiced. We started playing D&D. So I practiced with my next character. And they laughed because it sounded stupid. But I kept at it. And even if you go back and listen to the first few videos with Antoine, there are certain words I won't say because I couldn't get the verbiage down. It took a while. Now Antoine, I can speak as Antoine like it was, as easy as breathing. So, yeah, Mike was one of the first people that got me into doing voices, and I guess would lead to voice acting.
A truly remarkable tale, full of daring and technological know-how. We can see that now. Moving forward, just a sort of off-the-cuff question. What sort of person would particularly appreciate the content that you provide across your channels?
Anybody who has a good sense of humor. If it's not... Right now, it seems like I'm making fun of the left a lot, progressives a lot, because they're being stupid. They're acting stupid. But anybody who has a good sense of humor and knows what a joke is will enjoy the content. Because it's not... I'm trying not to be political. I'm giving my opinion on things, but it's not necessarily right or left. It's just people who see the stupidity of it, and they want to hear someone else's opinion on the stupidity. So you could be right-wing, you could be left-wing, you could be liberal, you can be conservative, you could be independent, you could be libertarian. Anybody. Except for children. Anyone under the age of probably 14 should not watch my stuff.
So you're saying that you are age-rated then? I mean, that is... I suppose if Deadpool can do it, so can you. So on to the next question. To sort of connect with the last one we just asked, describe for us in your own words what the ideal fan of yours and your content and your channels would be.
Someone who's interactive. You don't have to like me. You don't have to love me. But if you leave a comment, I'll comment back. I love interacting with my chat. I love interacting with comments. Someone who enjoys to laugh. Now if we're going to to break it down, my ideal fan is someone with a lot of money to spend and would rather become a patron and help support the channel. But I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking for the people who enjoy the content, who want to laugh, who want to interact. That's one of the reasons I started the Discord, is to interact with the people who wanted to watch me. And I've met a lot of cool people on my Discord. So that's...
I have been on your Discord, and I unfortunately cannot agree with you in the least. But please continue.
But I mean, that's my ideal fan, is someone who has a good sense of humor, someone who understands that there is someone behind the character that's putting their thoughts out there, and is just wants to. It could be something stupid as good video. I really enjoy just talking to people. So, I mean, if they want to disagree with me, they can disagree with me too. I have no problem with that.
Excellent, excellent. If you will take a brief moment, Matt, to place your Streamlabs in the chat once more. A reminder, in the second half of this particular broadcast, we'll be taking as many questions from the chat as we can, provided they, of course, are not meant to be terrifically inflammatory. We will now continue on. I am Alex Alexson. With me today is Matt, for those who've just stepped in, the man behind the demon, Antoine, and we are interviewing him on several different levels as to his personal goals and life choices. Now, to put a more bright spin on things, Mr. Matt, we're asking you next, throughout your life, throughout your 30 years, 3+ decades, what is your most triumphant moment?
My most triumphant moment. Again, I ask, in all of my life or just YouTube?
I said throughout all of your 30+ years, throughout your life.
Okay.
That moment where you, on your deathbed, if you were to die right now, could look back and go, there, God, is that moment where I was on top of the world.
It's gonna be cliche. It's gonna be very cliche. When my son and my daughter was born. I was in the delivery room for both of them. My son was delivered naturally. My ex-wife did not have an epidural, and seeing him was amazing. It was life-changing. My daughter was delivered by cesarean section, and being there, hearing her cry, being the first person that she saw, being the first person to hold her hand, that's when I felt invincible and vulnerable. Like, it was a weird mishmash of it. I felt like there was nothing that could touch me, but this tiny little thing could destroy me. So, it's cliche, I know, but those are my two proudest moments.
Well, if humanity has taught me anything, it's that cliches are the very soul of the human heart. We will, of course, continue onwards to ask you the next intense question. This one, of course, far more deeper. We've taken you from your terrible lows, your most regrettable moments in your history, to your greatest highs with your triumphal moments, and now we go back to the very core of Matt, and we ask, what are your personal principles of leadership?
Eesh. I've never been a leader. I can say that flat out. I've always been someone who just puts their head down and, like with jobs, put your head down, do what you're told, put in your 8 hours, go home. My principles for it are pretty much try and do right by the people that you're leading. Lead by example. You can't, I mean, that's never having, I've been a manager. I've been a lead. I've been in positions of leadership, but those positions of leadership are not, you're still following rules. You're still following what you're supposed to be told. I just would do it. I've never really had a chance to be a leader. And you need to listen to what people say. But at the same time, if they're looking to you to be that leader, you need to be able to make a decision. You need to be able to stand up for what you want. And you need to do it with conviction. And don't be afraid to ask for help. But
Fine words, an excellent sentiment. For those of you who just stepped in, I am Alex Alexson. With me today is Matt. the man behind the cyber demon Antoine. This is still the first half of the broadcast, and as such, we are asking a series of questions, interview questions, to find out more about this particular man. In the second half of the broadcast, we'll open up the chat for questions, and we will take questions directly from you, the viewers, and put them to Matt. He will put to the test, laid upon the rack of your curiosity and stretched out for your entertainment. Now, to continue onwards, when you are creating these stories that you wish to tell with people around you, with your co-host and whatnot, do you prefer overall scripted work or improv work?
Improv. Improv, hands down. I've done scripted shows. I've read off of scripts. I've tried making it sound natural. It just doesn't to me. I always feel like I can tell that people can tell I'm reading off of something. I like improv because it gives a chance for back and forth. It gives a chance for jokes. It gives a chance for improv. It gives a chance for challenges and discussion and things like that. So yeah, definitely improv over scripted.
Excellent, excellent. Good to hear that you've thought this through, that you know exactly what you're doing. Some lighter questions now to round this out. If you could do anything, no repercussions, no strings with your YouTube shows, what would that anything be?
With my shows? Oh, fuck. I don't know. I just keep doing what I'm doing. I would actually, you know what? I would love to actually do an MST3K. No repercussions, so that means no copyright claims, no strings, which means I can't get can't be, community struck down. I had a friend of mine, his nickname is House. He would go to the Dollar Theater in my hometown, and he would pick the worst movie there because he knew no one would be there. And he would invite friends to come do this. And you just make fun of the movie. You Mystery Science Theater the movie. I would love to do that on YouTube. But we all know that that can't happen because, copyright bots are everywhere. Sparky in the chat knows exactly what I'm talking about. But so it's that's something that I would love to do. I think it would be fun. And get, different people on to give their own jokes, their own perspective, things like that.
Very, very interesting, very intriguing. Now, of course, there's a second to last question, and then we will open up to the chat. Second to last question. So, what celebrity do you think could take on your character and do it not just as well as you, but better than you?
Any celebrity.
Any celebrity across the end of space and time, obviously no one in the future, as we don't know who they are as of yet.
Tom Hiddleston.
In his Loki persona or something different?
No, in his Loki persona. I've had a couple people say that Antoine is kind of like Loki with too much charm. And I think he'd be amazing at it.
A very quick answer there.
That and I like Tom Hiddleston. What's wrong with Tom Hiddleston?
I'm sure there are many things we don't know about, as we are nothing more than mere humans not within the actor's sphere. The final question, of course, is a bit of a doozy. I hope you're prepared. Not so much introspective, as you'll have to actually think deeply about this. Out of everyone you've worked with across the years, as far as YouTube goes, who has the best character? If you don't feel comfortable answering that, then by all means, what is the best character you've ever worked with during YouTube?
Well, I haven't. It wasn't until recently, within like the last year, that I actually started working with other people. Who has the best characters? I mean, it depends on what you... I mean, I've technically worked with Magog, and I think he has an amazing character. Oh, God.
Well, we'll narrow it down for you, so to make it easier. By work with, we of course mean as a regular appearance, working together side by side in a weekly or perhaps even bi-weekly configuration. And by the best character, we mean in your personal opinion. Not the opinion of others, not the opinion imposed upon you by the chat or the world at large, but your own personal viewpoint.
One of my new co-hosts. Antihero Broadcast has some of the best characters I've run into. And he plays them flawlessly. And
that was a shameless plug for the interviewer, which you should be ridiculously ashamed of, and you gain no points here.
I absolutely love working with the trio. I think they're funny. All of them have their points and negatives, but most of the time, it's highly entertaining. So yeah, I'm definitely going to say Antihero.
Well, and with that, we enter the second portion of our broadcast. We are now moving into the chat questions portion. We will attempt to answer every question the chat puts forth. Of course, there will be some mild exceptions. Anyone asking how many fingers can Matt shove up his ass will, of course, not be allowed to have an answer. We will now be moving forward with the chat interactive portion. I'm Alex Alexson. With us is Matt, the voice behind Antoine. If there are any questions in the chat by now, of course, is the time to begin typing them in and asking us those wonderful questions which then pose to this individual before us.
I mean, technically, I guess it's an Ask Me Anything.
That it is. The first question comes from ZZA. Antoine, the Great Shocklands, will they be reprinted in Ravnica 3?
More than likely, yes, and the reason why is because they want to add more money to the secondary market and less money to the secondary market, because if you reprint them a third time, the actual overall cost is going to go down. So yeah, I believe they'll reprint them in the third one.
Next, Sparky's Tech Corner asks, why do this particular interview?
I want people to get to know me instead of just the character. Talking to a couple of friends of mine, I realized that there are a lot of people that never have heard me be me. They just hear Antoine. So when they read a tweet or something, they probably hear it in Antoine's voice, and it's fucking snarky as hell, even if I'm trying to be sincere. So I would like people to actually get to know me and be able to separate the two. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm also going to be doing more stuff where it's just me, and necessarily have that disconnect.
The next question, Lo-Fi would like to know, how many fingers do you have?
10, just like every other person.
An interesting concept. Zell would like to know if you plow fish.
Fish. No.
I assume the Piscine creatures beneath the sea.
No, I do not plow fish. That's a very weird question.
He's a weird person. Next on the list, Atama the Hun apparently has a question for me, or at least one of my many alter egos. What do I like best about working with other people? Mostly, I like the thought that I am able to interact with and riff off of them, as I am terrible by myself. The next question is from Kadant. She would like to know if you have plans for the Army of Snarkness, and if so, what are they? I will allow this two-part question as they are very intertwined.
How's it going, Kadantris? Do I have plans for Army of Snarkness? Yeah, I want it to be a good show. I am going to be working on OBS, and so we can talk about, get some videos playing, or trying to get some guests on. So my plans are to have it be an actual show, having segments. I believe we have the Human Archist segment from Zach. Sarah has kind of started a segment of her own. It's, we do talk about articles and things like that, but this is kind of a show that we can do whatever. Maybe we'll read a mystery script or something. It could be a bunch of different things. So I just want the show to be entertaining. And if it gets popular enough, once I get my channel back, my normal channel, which will happen in 19 days, hopefully we'll be able to grow a larger audience. And if we can do that, we can split off into another show and do things like that. So, and cultivate other characters and bring them on as co-hosts, and just have fun, create this world, and have not only the characters create the world, but have the chat interact as well, which is why I changed the Discord around, so that they could interact with the characters themselves, create the in-jokes, create the lore. It seemed like a good idea. It sounds like fun.
Yes, the lore, and a question from Lo-Fi to possibly create even further lore. Try to know why the constant sighing in between questions. Are you in fact ill?
I didn't know I was sighing in between questions. I apologize. No, I am not ill. I'm tired, but that's because, I worked a long day and I got up at 5:30 in the morning.
Very good, very good. To recap for those who have just stepped into the chat, I am Alex Alexson. Today we are interviewing Matt, the man and the voice behind Antoine, the cyber demon we all know from Army of Snarkness and previous Proper Villains fame. We then move on to Artema the Hun, who would like to put out that question was for Antoine. She thought I was supposed to at me. That is incorrect. I now understand. So we'll scroll back up ever so gently. Matt, what do you like best about working with other people?
It's their personalities. Getting to know them, getting to know their personalities. It's fun getting to interact with people. You meet people that you never thought you were going to meet because of YouTube, because the internet in general. And I enjoy hearing the different types of humor and things like that. So that's what I enjoy. I like getting to know people that you never thought you were going to get to know. So that's
excellent
what I like
answer. Best. Very good, very good. The next question comes from Fermion. They would like to know, when will you sing some Never Gonna Give You Up for us?
I had an idea, and this came about when my ex-girlfriend decided to have a charity karaoke stream. I will sing any song that I know how to sing as soon as my Patreon hits $1,000 a month. That's the only time that Matt or Antoine will ever sing.
Long-term goals indeed. We move on now to the next question. Tom Leach wants to know if you've ever considered some scripted radio drama style content.
I have, and I was talking to Ishtar today about possibly doing something like that. I think it would be fun. I don't know. I don't know where I would be able to find a script for something like that, but I do think that it's something that the Army would be very, very capable of doing. And I think it would be highly entertaining.
Excellent, excellent. To touch on the chat with light, caressing fingers. Good night, Lo-Fi. Yes, we did tune into Not Safe for Work as much as we could. We thank you for running a fantastic show. Artemithan thanks you for your fantastic answer. And we move on to Kadunt. She says, touching back on the predecessors of the army, who was the better villain, me or Brockus? She then clarifies it by saying we all already know that Zell and Lo-Fi were the absolute best. So who was better, Brockus or Kadunt?
Well, Kadant was only on a few episodes, but she was definitely a fan favorite. Brockus was also a fan favorite for most of them, and I honestly, honest opinion, Kadantris, you are the better villain compared to you or Brockus.
You've heard it here first, chat. By the tone of his voice and his own verbal admission, Kadunt is, of course, better than Brockus. Now, I myself, being Alex Alexson, already knew the answer to that question, but I'm happy that someone posed it. The chat has slowed down for now. Am I to take this to mean that there are no more questions from the chat?
I'm open for any questions, so there's very little that is off limits.
Zell Batista earlier wanted to know where the questions came from. I pulled them from my own head. It's very simple, of course.
Not necessarily a question for me. Tom, do you want to do a thing? So ask sex questions. I was kind of expecting it. I will wait. I will wait for them to type their questions.
While we wait, tell us, if you can, what you think has been the best gag line yet on the Army of Snarkness.
What's the best? The Humanarchy. I love the Humanarchy. I think if it's done, I think if it's not overdone, it'll be very subtle. And Zach getting 15 minutes to do his thing about the Humanarchy is hilarious because he's so passionate about it. And the idea that a cybernetic demon who is not even close to being human is part of the Humanarchy is amusing. I love the Humanarchy stuff.
I have heard that simply by being an ally to most humans, he is in fact a humanarchist sympathizer. But I could not tell you, as I have no allegiance with either side. I am Alex Alexson, interviewer. We move back to the chat. We have two questions that are very much similar, one from Mr. Tom Leach and one from Kadunt. We will get to those in a moment, but first, Sparky's Tech Corner says, what or who has shocked you the most on YouTube?
ElsaGate. Hands down, ElsaGate is the strangest thing I have come across. For those of you who don't know what ElsaGate is there were some channels going around that would put Elsa, Anna, Spider-Man, toys, things like that in their search bars, their keywords, and basically they would have like Elsa kid-sized Elsa giving birth to Dracula's baby, or there was one where it was Venom and the Joker teamed up against Spider-Man and Elsa and basically buried them alive. It's just this really disturbed stuff that not only was being monetized by YouTube, but these channels had millions of subscribers. And it was just flying under the radar. It was actually my very first My very first failure grab video, and it was kind of just a reaction to it. And it's just some of the most disgusting things. They've cut down a lot of it, but it's still there. The channels are still out there. So, and what was also going on is with ElsaGate is there's YouTube Kids. It would pass underneath the algorithm for YouTube Kids, so you could have. My daughter was watching YouTube Kids. I had to keep making sure she didn't accidentally click on one of these links for these videos because it was basically being posted as a kids video. So 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 12-year-olds would be watching this stuff. So
I hate to cut you short, Antoine, but there are many questions and we don't have a lot of time. Here are again that joint question from both Tom Leach and Cadunt inquiring as to your per. Specifically, are you going to, and how much do you have to be bribed in order to do so?
Well, if you want me to purr, money is always good. Depending on the amount is depending on how long of a purr. $2 is like a 10-second purr. $5 is a 30-second purr. Anything more than that, and I'll probably have to take a breath, but I'll do it.
So basically, we have been told today that not only is Antoine an incredibly arrogant and overly charming sort, but that the mat behind him is a whore. We now move on to the next question, also from Cadunt. How many tentacles do you have?
I don't have any tentacles. Antoine, I think, can produce about 8.
Interesting. The next question is also from Cadunt. She would like to know who is better in bed, Drake, Shade, or Zach. I can answer this question myself. The character of Antoine and also Matt have never actually slept with either of the trio.
The answer is actually Drake. Shade just wants to kill you, and Zach is innocent. So there's your answer, Cadunt.
That's awful that you would know those questions. Cadunt would then like to know, do the trio lift your poofy tail when they plow you?
That's never happened, and I don't have a poofy tail.
The next question from Joshua Janus, he would like to know, where is the YouTube algorithm to cut out this particular cancer he is currently viewing?
Well, I think he's talking about the ElsaGate. The algorithm, they fixed it, quote unquote, but the channels are still out there. Basically, the only way to get rid of them is to flag them down because they're horrible channels, and it's an easy way to get viewers. It's an easy way to get money. But it's also, I mean, it's the same thing with the people who open up, 30 different accounts under one email just to subscribe to somebody, or someone who sells subscribers. It's something that YouTube really needs to work on, but being the platform that they are, that basically they don't deal with humans, it's not something that can really be fixed.
Excellent. I would like to reference Tom Leach to the refresh button at the top of his browser that may fix several of your issues. The next question from Ali Tora is a joint question. I had to find it over in the second place to go and figure it out. The question is, how much purring would she get in exchange for a blowjob?
As much as you want, I guess. One, Allie, you're not anywhere near me. And two, your jaw is not big enough.
Well, shameless self-promotion and delusions of grandeur from Matt aside, we'll continue on to the next question from Cadunt. She would like to know, how many vampires have you let suck on you?
Well, has Antoine let suck him?
Same question, really.
So, Antoine cannot be bitten. That was established in the interview with the trio. So the answer would be 0. How many vampires have I let bite me? I did have an ex-girlfriend that did like Vampire play? She bit me quite a bit, so I guess the answer would be 1. Yay? Uh, Alex, are you there? I guess not. Okay. Can you guys hear me? I'm hoping so. Awkward silence is awkward. Yeah. Okay. So I will go back through the questions. Why am I ripping off self-surgery? I didn't know I was. So there's that. How many dicks have I had in you? Have I had in me? Well, I haven't had any in me, but I have had 2 boyfriends. I think we did. Yeah, we lost Alex. He dropped out, so he should be back. But I will continue answering questions if you want. Were they cute? Yes. Uh, One of them, his name is Paul. Was Paul? No, it wasn't at the same time. His name was Paul. He was a very good friend of mine. Um, at one point, I got taken out on a date and didn't know it was a date, and we just kind of clicked and continued on from there. The first one, we dated a couple times, and then he invited me back to his house for a slumber party with like 4 other of his friends, and I basically said no. And yes, she wasn't a vampire. She like wasn't goth or anything like that, but she was definitely into the vampire identity type thing. And Alex is back. All right.
That was very strange. It appears we had some technical difficulties within the main facility. What did I miss?
Me admitting to having 2 boyfriends. And
You
then
terrible homosexual.
bisexual actually, but that works too. Tom asked, basically, I had a vampire girlfriend too. He said, "Dude, this is freaking me out." She wasn't necessarily a vampire. It's just she was into the biting very, very, very hard. And
So we have not gotten past your vampire sucking on you question.
well, it was asked again, basically. Kadant would like to know if she can ride Alex, and then answered, "Yes, he is mine."
So did we cover all the questions up until that point?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, we shall now continue on. Yes, Joshua Janus, goddamn the Mexican internet.
And apparently I was asked why I'm ripping off self-surgery or copying self-surgery. I didn't know I was, so I can't necessarily respond to that. Besides, self-surgery is a pretty awesome guy. You should probably go follow him on Twitter.
Are there any further questions from the chat? I do apologize that I, Alex Alexson, was forced to leave for a brief moment. Kadunt has an excellent question. could the loyal chat, your wonderful viewers and fans who have subscribed and watch your content and retweet your sage words, get one free purr?
A free purr. You know, Caduntris, because you're the one who asked for it, I will purr for you.
And there you go, Cadunt and Ali. There is no longer a need to give the man a blowjob, as he has just purred for you for roughly 10 seconds. If you had asked Ali, nothing would have happened.
Joshua would like to know when you're going to get an avatar, Alex.
Ah, yes, unfortunately, as this is nothing more than a secondary account used for such things as this, there will very likely be no avatar. Now, I do believe at this point, unless Matt has further things, we will go ahead and wrap things up. Do you have anything else for us, Matt?
I do plan on doing more stuff as me. Like I said, I want to have a disconnect between the person who is playing Antoine and Antoine himself. So I will be attempting to jump into Discord chat more often. I'm also going to be reworking my Patreon stuff. So I'm going to have better reward tiers. And I want to get back to talking to you guys again. So I will be doing more of this stuff, and just realize unless I'm in the hideout chat or in the RP chat, you're talking to me. You're not necessarily talking to Antoine. And that's pretty much it. I want you guys to get to know me, which is why I'm here, and hopefully I can get to know you guys again.
I am sorry, Tom Leach, that we are ending just as you have managed to get your stream back to work. You will notice there is a mild technical difficulty from my end that we have overcome through the power of science and optimism. We are now going to be moving on. Are there any final questions aside from your purring sounding like you have a dying vehicle? Tom Leach has a question. He would like to know if you'll be hosting a D&D live stream.
I haven't thought about it. It could be fun. It just depends on who I would have as gamers. Now, I do have an idea for a BESM stream, which has a lot of opportunity to be fun, but I don't see a problem with doing a D&D stream.
I would also be quite interested in a BDSM stream.
BESM. BE.
I heard what you said, and I responded in my own way.
Well, you're going to have to talk to Caduntris about that. I will not be doing a BDSM stream.
You appear to have several people in the chat who are quite interested in a BDSM stream. That is Bravo, Delta, Sierra, Mike, not Bravo, Echo, Sierra, Mike.
BESM stands for Big Eyes, Small Mouth. It is a anime-based role-playing game. BDSM is
bondage, discipline, and sadomasochism.
Yeah.
Stream, which we will be scheduling for next Friday at 12 midnight. Now, moving on. Anything you'd like to say to the chat as a final aside to let them know who you, Matt, the man behind the demon, truly are?
I love you guys. I really, really do enjoy talking to you. I enjoy interacting with you. I love that you guys like watching the videos. And I know I haven't posted one in a while. I will be getting back to that as soon as I can. So I really do enjoy the interaction that I have gotten with you guys and getting to know the people that I have gotten to know. So I hope that I can continue to entertain you in the future. And thank you for everything that you guys have done. Even just showing up or retweeting. It means a lot to me. It really does. And I appreciate everything.
Well, those are some very kind words from the man behind the demon. Kind, cliched, heartfelt words. We now end this stream on that particular note. Join us next time on Friday at 12 p.m. midnight for Antoine explaining his particular BDSM and tentacular fetishes, complete with accent and purring, and very likely guest assistance. Join me, Alex Alexson, for our next interview with the woman behind the Ishtar and the Sarah, hopefully happening whenever the hell she contacts me or my agent. I hope all of you had a lovely night watching me, Alex Alexson, interviewing Matt, the man behind the demon, Antoine. Have a lovely evening, and may all the deities that may or may not exist bless or not bless you as you particularly see fit. Have a good night, ladies, gentlemen, and those of you who may fall somewhere in between or entirely outside the conveniently known spectrum. Good evening.
Have a good night, everyone.